So this is the beginning of a new piece of testimony, I believe, from Gossip. So where we left off was, let's see if I can get the picture up here. Ryan Isuke proposed that this signboard was actually right here. And when Van Zykes walked in, he opened the door kind of gently. And so it swung open, but it didn't knock over the signboard. Then, when Gossip walked in, he opened the door, and that knocked the signboard over. Now, we see, this is about how long the feet of the signboard were. The signboard would have to have been facing, basically with a paper side away from the door. So the paper side facing towards Gregson's body. Because that's kind of the way it would, if it were to fall down away from the door, then the reverse side without the papers would be the side that was up, so Gossip could put his hand on it. Now the problem kind of with this is, there's two problems with this. One is, Van Zykes didn't mention hearing a bang, like all of that air being pushed out from underneath the board as it fell over, right? It would have made a big loud bang sound that would have been able to penetrate below Gossip's scream, because it would be a very different timbre, right? And he would have mentioned that, and he didn't. It wouldn't have been the gunshot, because the gunshot went off before Gossip came in the room. Also, imagine compressing the air between the door and this so rapidly and so heavily that it would actually knock the board over. According to this picture, the feet are actually pretty short. But let me go back to the signboard here. Here, it actually looks like they're pretty long, right? So we kind of look at this, like the proportions are actually different than what you see in the picture. You see actually really long feet. Some inconsistency there. And something with this long of feet, you'd be compressing air. I mean, I guess that would be about 18 inches, but we don't have scale here. That would be compressing air. The door would could only go open as far as the feet, I presume. Definitely couldn't get past this angled part. We could be compressing air that contains this whole entire volume. And so, essentially, I can't imagine how we could open the door so hard it would knock this over. There's like no way. Right? It wouldn't be able to hit it because of the feet. Hitting it in the feet would knock it over. And there isn't enough, there's so much airspace, we wouldn't be able to compress the air tight enough that it would knock it over anyway. So, it's just not very physically plausible. Now, with the Magnus McGilded one, not Magnus McGilded, wrong case, the third case of the first game, the one with the knife that fell out of the sky, Ryan Isuke did start out by spewing this kind of nonsense about Soseki walking home the other way, right? So, there is a precedent for coming up with just kind of really stupid ideas at the start, and we backtrack on them, which this might be. But if they actually go with this, it's going to be pretty silly. It also tells me very little about who it is that did it. However, the tone is set for this trial to be somewhat casual, isn't really serious, right? So that makes it somewhat less probable that the culprit is a character that's serious. So, like, it wouldn't be someone like Strongheart, for example, because he would require the trial where he would actually come out as the person who did it would be a very serious trial in tone in comparison. I've sort of ruled out in my thinking since last recording it being Mr. Sholmes. Like, it's just not Mr. Sholmes. I just don't see it, right? So, it's kind of leaving behind pretty much only Vigil in the end here. So Vigil's remaining a good guess so far. Can I actually go through this testimony now? I don't know anything about their notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all. He didn't really wipe it, he just kind of pressed it on. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign on the crossroads of life. It was the Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams bored. I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot. That was kind of all over the place. I wasn't even paying attention to it, really. So none of you could elaborate further? Shaken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp I wish to see. We can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened. That's right, yeah. I don't pay to expect too much. It don't pay. Oh. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that is destroying the world. That's what I think. There are things that are destroying the world faster. Do you? Really? In any case, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Barak van Zykes. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Hold on here, Kazuma. Prosecuting attorneys are not allowed to do the finger point. Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the witness despite the circumstances? Most certainly, my lord. Very well, then you may proceed, counsel. Nothing really obviously wrong in there, but it might be one of those things where you press it and then you slide over to a different character and then eventually get a statement appended.
Hold it!
So you admit that it was the board you wiped your bloody hand on? Admit it? What to admit? It's there plain as day for all to see, a smashing print of my right hand. Perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint. So you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner, did you? No, imagine the weight of that great lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man? Well, Did you see anybody else moving the board? I got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I have my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it. And there was precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was all a-quiver. In other words, this witness is unable to give definite testimony on that point. Yes. So it would seem. If anybody's, like, lit a match on a textile, ever gonna go back. Does it actually work very well? It's like, I want to try that now on an old t-shirt. Well, yes.
Hold it!
You say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's the Priory School just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to kingdom come. So I've been telling on them, letting their teacher know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everyone's happy, see? What a racket. Of course, and sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting them know. It's a busy old life selling explosives. Venus is a guileful goddess indeed. Well, telling bare-faced lies is kind of my thing, really. If I'm ever so good at it.
Excuse me.
Something wrong, Mr. Sandwich? If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it? No. Did Miss Venus' statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Let's say there was a great liar. And that great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too? Or the truth? In which case she's not a liar. Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one. Don't you think? Also cheesy. And way overdone. Should have ended with that Star Trek episode. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But it seems to me you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying, are you? What are you about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set them off. That'll give you something to tremble about. You have a startling, disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady. So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich? Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can you elaborate, please, sir? Old blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshots seemed to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there. Hehe. Do you mean to say that you did in fact retake yourself to the scene of the crime after all? What did I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I? Yes, you mentioned it. Well, don't you realize this is a court? That revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch? So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief. Well, now you come to mention it, I suppose perhaps. I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah. Either you clearly remember it or you don't. Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjure, just act later. For the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth. Yes, my lord, of course. Gotta press the new one, too. You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Alright, but you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you? Oh, please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying. Truth, please. Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know. Did you touch anything at the scene? Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor. The truth, please. Oh, well, alright, just a bit then. I'd look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I did give the place a once-over, but it was nothing to write home about. Yeah, you would do that if there was a gunshot inside, and not otherwise. Right now, I hesitate to ask, but... Wait a second, is there a name pun with Goldilocks going on here in some way? No, it's just Venus. Okay. You didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had. The truth, please. Well, alright then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flippin' thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing. You're telling us that you did move that board. I think that did slip out, didn't it? What, you daft barn pot? Oh, I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think. So, did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken perhaps to sell? Oh, please. I should be so lucky. I should be so lucky in my imagination. The truth now! I might have found this old vodka watch under the notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't... Ah. So it was you, was it? You're the one who took it. Gina? Young lady, may I remind you where you are? That watch there. That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big case he solved 10 years ago. The professor case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when it was waiting for grub to come at the pub. I see. I swiped it off him once and blimey was he upset. He gave me a right earful. Said he ain't missed a day in the last 10 years polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for then. It's not all that though. I took it to Jabez that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it, said it wasn't working, knocked about and worthless he called it. I knew I should have lifted it. That watch must be submitted as evidence at once. Oh, please, just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done. Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again. That's enough. And the watch to the bailiff forthwith. Now, children. Watch your manners. Good lord. The glass appears to be broken. More than likely, it shattered when the inspector was shot. It doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh? Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5. Exactly when the gunshot was heard then. Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Well, it would appear the mystery of the moving notice board has been solved, at least. Do I get to go through the entire, like, all the pressing, or did I pick that too soon, and it brought me to the end? Glass over the face really is badly cracked, look. What a shame, when the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully. I imagine Mr. Sholmes could repair it, don't you? Yes, I should think so. He's very adept at things like this. A useful man to have around, in fact. But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Mr. Naruhodo, not an odd job man. The knob is missing. There's a tiny little stub sticking out from this small hole here, look. I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time. In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of this watch, it probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it? Yes, of course. Which could mean that there was a small part of the watch still at the scene. Maybe. Huh. Oh, there's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? Oh yes, that's probably for the winder used to wind up the mechanism. It looks a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you need just the right key to wind it, I imagine. Why do I feel as though I've seen something? Something a bit like a key. It's about the right size to fit in this hole. It would be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found. I can't combine evidence in Ace Attorney, but I know what the key is, right? It's the, Okay, I don't know what the key is. Have you had an idea, Mr. Naruhodo? You're staring at the end of the string of fireworks. Sorry, it's just that it's the Venus Special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like. Shall we find out? What? She said it could blow up the courtroom. Alright, that was a fairly sizable bang. My ears are still ringing, Mr. Naruhodo. It sounded almost exactly like... gunshot. Well, that was... something of meaning. I thought we had something that looked like a key, though. I thought I already inspected this. Huh, I've been told that for the past 5 years they've been engraved with unique serial numbers. Oh, but as far as I can tell, there's nothing like that on this gun. Which tells us that it must have been issued longer ago than that. Okay. I'm mixing it up with some evidence from a previous case. Oh yeah, it was this, right? This had the key. Why I have to examine this all over again? Yeah, like... Miss Susato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch? Oh, yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. There's not a moment to lose. I knew it. A perfect fit. And look, the Inspector's watch has started going again. Ah, so it obviously just not been wound up, that's all. What is it, Miss Susato? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I have a feeling it could have profound implications. She's deeply in thought now. Perhaps I better start thinking deeply too. I don't know why I had to re-inspect that. Like, what? Is this, like, I have to re-inspect this too? No, okay. And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Hold it!
But did you go see what happened in the room? You did go see what happened in the room, didn't you? Fresno Street is my whole world, it's all I know. And I know all of it. I have to make it my business to know if I want to hold my sign up high. So you did go see what had happened. It's not the destination that's important, it's how you get there, isn't it? Did you notice the notice board in the room? If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of the sign family. So if I'd spotted it, I might have tried to trip it up out of a sense of rivalry, I admit. Someone really needs to tell you that you're a Homo sapiens. That you're Homo sapiens, not Homo sinians. Does that mean that you didn't notice the board? I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign on the crossroads of life. In which case, just who was responsible for moving the notice board? Okay, that's backtracking.
Hold it!
What exactly do you mean by that? Oh, come on now. Don't tell you was not noticed. He looks like he hates everything in the world, that fellow. But not notice boards. They're the one thing he likes. You can see it in his eyes. I can't say I ever noticed. I'll tell you one thing for free, though. I never took my eyes off that man on the floor. Or off the Reaper, not for a second. Sorry? Well, I was that scared I couldn't. You never know what a friend like that might do if they look away, do you? A feeding? Oh. If you didn't take your eyes off the defendant, you should be able to confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board. That I can. The Reaper did nothing of the sort. I can swear to that. I couldn't have missed it if he'd heaved the thing upright again and dragged it into the corner. Right. Glad we cleared that up. What happened to the face that screams bored? I feel your pain, Kazuma. Okay, this is where we submit to put the evidence to.
Hold it!
It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it? Maybe the notice board fell over, or maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over, or maybe I didn't. But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of the gunshot we all heard. So your fate's sealed too. My fate? That's right. The defense is fated to lose, and the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. If I can find some problem with that part of their story, it may be possible to change all their fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? Not much to go on. So you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it. That did happen after the event, so maybe Kazuma is right, and it's not relevant to the case. But it seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view. So I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this. Yes, I know what you mean. I have no doubt there is more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track, I can feel it. So follow your instincts. Alright then. Okay, so I presume we represent on the last statement. This is the new one that opened up. So we present one of two things. The firecracker, because it sounds like a gunshot. Which would be more of a direct thing. So this is like, we heard the gunshot. This would be like countering that. And no, it wasn't really a gunshot. And then this would be when we heard the gunshot. So it's like, are we going to counter on the when or the what? The what is more direct, so I'll try that first. If that fails, I'll try the when.
Objection.
It failed. Okay, it is cleared. Okay, so... this is the next thing to try, I guess.
Objection.
I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case. Oh. At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch. It's kind of really weak though. We're not asserting that he didn't die. We're just saying you're just taking away, like, evidence that he did die that they didn't even really know they even had. So it's like, assume we got new evidence, so we're just taking it away from him. But we're back to square one when we're done. A key. And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built. What? But counsel, the watch has stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock. Yeah, which is just when we heard the gunshot. It is exactly the hour. The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Objection.
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when this crime was committed.
Objection.
No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said, only moments ago. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for Grub to come at the pub. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece on the evening before he died as well. Yes, that would be entirely reasonable. But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day. In summary, the evening before the day of the incident, when the gunshot rang out in the room. Right, so if he wound it then... well, I don't think that was phrased quite right. What I would have said is, if he would have wound it, it would have kept going. Right? So when Venus took it to the pawn shop, it would have still been going at that point. Right? You wouldn't say it would stop being wound down until now. It would be wound down now, because it would be wound down now, because, well, because it's been like, well, has it been a whole day? Huh. Okay, I guess he's right, because we found the body the evening yesterday, and it's the morning today. So, okay, I get it. Okay. The inspector was already unable to wind his watch. That's correct. That would be the same conclusion, though. You can't mean... What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. Oh, counsel, that is a most extraordinary claim.
Objection.
Extraordinary isn't the word, it's absurd. You claim he was already dead the night before. Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that? Oh, here comes the autopsy report. On that subject, there is something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. The time of death is not noted. Oh, that's right. Wait a minute, you're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in. What do you mean? Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty, great puddle of blood. Yes, so the victim's blood hadn't dried, it was fresh. He catches on fast, doesn't he? But the blood could be explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have poured... Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? Your chicken blood! Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human. The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities. So then, a chicken's blood. First strike 9, now chicken blood. Referencing competitors' games, are we? It's certainly possible that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection.
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question. It is, though? Is it, though? What? Given that the time of death of the victim was already being called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all. Oh please, what are you trying to say? You lot know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from their room. Now you listen to me, a street seller's ears are his livelihood. I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can state with certainty is that you heard a noise. Explain yourself then, counsel. A noise that sounds like a gunshot could have been made with... Yeah, I always present it 1% too early.
Take that!
Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot. Good gracious, the very fireworks that are sold by the witness. Now, hold on a minute. If you're saying I did it, my pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See? Not 100 of them together. The Venus Special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. At the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact. You're trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene? I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day, and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear. But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gun or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Barack Van Zykes. One whim is a match, and my firecrackers go pop. See, it's why people like them. I fear for your fingers, young lady.
Objection.
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. Something called a, time bomb. There you go. Hopefully the audio is in sync. Good heavens, a bomb? Yes, the device allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. As long as it's in the future. Mr. Naruhodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead you to another international incident. No, wait. It's like the whenever you like part that's important. A time device? Yes, exactly. A timed device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left. Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, Counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that timed device was employed to create the gunshot sound? Red-Headed League. Photograph of Vigil. Letter of introduction. Dismissal notice. Framed photograph. Don't see any time device in there. Spectre revolver again. Nothing timed here. Not really. Excuse me. Nothing funny about this, is there? Nothing like a time bomb in this candlestick? Gas lamp. Nothing really timed about that, though. Nothing timed on the notice board. No clocks on the firecrackers. Don't see anything in that picture. Huh. Well, this is the only thing that really seems like worth presenting.
Take that!
You're suggesting this could have been used as some sort of time delay device? I did think so, my lord. But it's becoming increasingly clear that we've all been very misguided here.
Objection.
Yes, by you. What? No, Counsel, the time has come for a penalty. Without delay. No time to clear the area before the blast. Extravagant, okay. So I was wrong, I guess. It sure faked me out, though. Okay. I didn't see anything about a time device here. Like, nothing here. This was wrong, so I don't know why I'm bothering. I should have something else to inspect. Nope. Okay, we can rule that out then. That'd be very wide if that was it. We're done inspecting this. We didn't find anything timed in here, did we? I am stumped. It's like my next best guess, though. It's because, like, why were they burnt down so far? But... the candles were burnt, like, far further.
Take that!
No, that's wrong. As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candelabrum has been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible? Why? Oh. Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken candle. There are. Goodness, yes. But is it not the case that there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound? That's right, there was. But as we learned earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. Ah. Which means that the scorching on the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks. How can that be, eh? The The fact that there is such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or to put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. Oh. The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse of the firecrackers, generating a loud bang. That is in ridiculously precise timing for like a very imprecise mechanism. That's ridiculous. But whatever. And that is how these three witnesses came to believe they've heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Well, what a plot. That's meta. And this implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe. The previous day, even. Now, just hold your horses. All this lot here saw the victim going into the building, remember? I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair even if I wanted to. The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anyone could wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely wearing the red hairpiece. Someone else? Do you mean to say it was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick? In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer. But how did they leave the building? Oh, very impressive, Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Kazuma. I'm really quite amazed you come this far. But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I also know the lack of time of death in this report, a stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Prosecutor Asogi, what on earth do you mean by that statement? I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today, so we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. But while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it. Well, certainly, I would agree with you. And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing, and where did he go the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard. Even within the Yard. However, considering the evidence we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what case the man was pursuing. Wouldn't you, my learned friend? I do have a feeling about what case he might have been investigating. Yes, I agree. Surely. My lord, the defense believes it can be explained to the court. The case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death. Very well, counsel. Present your argument to the court. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the inspector on the day prior to the incident? Here you have the red-headed leak. Germ theory, okay. Public health report. Overcoats. Okay, so no case in here, it appears. Mr. Vigil's case. I mean, the simple thing is just a notice board, right? We're just inspecting the Reaper case, but I don't... That's so simplistic, though. This is a simplistic thing. Okay, I would try, since I have 2 lives here, I would try the board first, the notice board first, just cuz. And then if that doesn't work, Mr. Vigil. Or Miss Vigil, so something like that.
Take that!
I think, Mr. Naruhodo, there's one particular piece of evidence that really does stand out in showing what case Inspector Gregson was investigating. Go for it, just cuz.
Take that!
Let's see how much I fail. We'll see how much it kicks me back. I haven't done this before, so I want to see like how much it like kicks it throws me back in the trial. Oh, okay. This is my next best guess, but it's a terrible guess. How could it be this?
Take that!
Nothing really fits. So not this either. I already presented the notice board.
Take that!
Okay, just making sure I did it. They have to make it so hard to spam through. Doesn't spam fast enough. Okay. So not this.
Take that!
What? Okay, I'll go with it. I believe the red hairpiece points to the answer, because he wasn't wearing the red hairpiece. We might assume it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation. Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yeah, the person wearing... like, he wasn't wearing that. I guess... okay, you could... okay. So what they're going for is the culprit stole the hairpiece off of Gregson's head, wore it into the room, and then ditched it on Gregson's head. Again. Fine. I didn't think of that. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except that it's... probably presenting the hairpiece would have worked too, by the way. Except that in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League. So, you'd already worked it out. What on earth is this all about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen? The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception. A deception of what nature, Counsel? They've been targeted red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money. 2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once. 2 redheads? What does that have to do with anything, though? Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece, so it's very likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. I concur. That we cannot in good conscience leave with new avenue unexplored. Oh. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us at least. The prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 Red-Headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Asogi. At once, my lord. Very good. We will have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned. Well, I was within a hair. I only had one last present to do and I was home free. And a newspaper, which is the first thing I considered would have worked, actually. And that's it.